All right, guys, another Sunday Scan coming at you. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you guys checking it out, watching it. I always try to put a nice little lesson at the front of this and then get into the scan. So there's always going to be probably 10 minutes of, something that I think is very time sensitive, something that's going to help you the following week or the week ahead. And very, very current to current market conditions, as well as things that you can utilize, on a regular basis. Just like we've talked about, looking left, how to tell the front side versus the back side of the move, using VWAP to kind of help you make trading decisions or at least understand what side of the trade that you're on, as well as just really understanding what came to light this week was just like a peak craziness of just uneducated traders hitting the market thinking that they're pros. And I'm not being mean. I'm not being, thinking I'm here and they're here or anything like that. That's not the point of this. The point is that there is so much uneducated money coming into the market that even as just a trader that's been doing this for 17 years, you still have to be aware of that because things are hanging on longer than you would expect. Normally you've seen this a million times and it typically does X. Well, now it might be hanging on just a little bit longer because there's just all these sports gamblers that have come into the market because they need their fix, right? They haven't been able to bet on any sports. There was a funny video that I saw, somebody that was betting on the weather, right? That's really what it's come down to until we start to open up these all these sports, arenas and start to really get going again. But all these people that have been betting on sports are coming into the industry, as well as just everybody, COVID-19, working at home, extra time, bosses in over their shoulder, you name it. People are getting into the industry. I've had so many texts from friends, with their little monitor setups. They bought an extra monitor so they can do it on the side of working. Everybody that I know that gambles with sports had asked me about DraftKings and is invested in it, and they've doubled their money. Anybody that's bought anything in the last 2 months has made 40%, 20, 30, 40% on some of these names, whether it's the cruise lines, the airlines, some of these retail names. Even Macy's was up. I think it was almost a 50% move. So there's a lot of rebound and you could pretty much have done anything and you made money. So this gives people the false sense of confidence that what they're doing is right. And that's fine. That's fine. That's giving us a lot of trading opportunities. There's so many every single day. And what happens is it comes in different waves, right? So for this past week, we had ABIO. And ABIO was the first one that has been about $1 million, I think it was $1.2 million, $1.5 million, something like that, float, which is obviously a tiny float. It traded 75 million shares, which is insanity when there's only 1.5 million shares to go around, right? So that means a lot of people got short. And again, we haven't seen a low floater go for a long period of time. There's been a couple of little low floaters that go up, come right back down, and then that's it. But this one, just continual, churn of volume. Shorts kind of start to look at the volume thinking 10 million, 20 million. This thing's pretty liquid. I could probably size in and, be okay. All of a sudden it skips up a couple bucks and then they remember, oh yeah, it's 1 million float. I'm screwed, right? I either gotta take it off or I gotta try to fight this thing. And then all of a sudden it goes another $5, another $2, another $2, So that was the first time that we've had a low float squeeze in quite some time. There's been big moves, but not like that. And so because of that, that brought a lot of the FOMO back into the market the very next day on SNOA, right? So the thought process on that, which we talked about on the broadcast, the reason why I was short biased on that one, looking for single digits into the close, was because short traders, traders have short-term memories, right? So, they forget the fact that ABIO went up to 22 and then pulled right back. And so they think that everything's going to do the same thing. They already forgot what happened to the other one. They already forgot that, the last time this happened, there was one big one that set them all off, and then they all unwound, right? So the key here is not, again, to try to be a hero and try to find the top, but let everybody get excited about it. Let everybody get long. And the thing that you need to understand is that shorts are not going to make the same mistake twice like they did on ABIO, right? They're going to be more patient. They're going to be hands off. They're going to be letting people get super, super long because they want to be part of the next ABIO. So then they get super, super long. They're not selling dips because last time on ABIO, all you had to do was hold and, it kept on going, right? So why would you sell? So that's what they do. And then as it starts to come in lower and lower and lower, they're probably adding because that's what worked on the last one. Meanwhile, shorts are still, not aggressive because they just got taken out to the cleaners on ABIO. So that gave an edge for anybody that was patient, anybody that waited, and therefore I let the trade work, and that's why I was so biased that we were going to single digits, like I had tweeted and mentioned in the room. So, and anyway, that's kind of the quick way that I think about themes. How fast can you figure out what's going on, right? So another theme this week would be gambling stocks, DraftKings going nuts, and then GMBL went nuts, and then AESE, and there's a couple other ones, but how fast can you identify what that theme is that is catching a bid? The faster you can figure that out, the more opportunities you're going to be able to, trade for yourself, right? So NBR, CHK, FTSI, there was a bunch of those oil and gas type names that went nuts. And, as soon as they stop going straight up and stop squeezing, it's going to be a nice little pullback and shorting opportunity. So once again, that theme came to an end, and therefore I was looking for the short side on the NBR trade that I had posted on Friday. So again, figuring out themes, the low float theme, the gambling, the gaming name theme, and different sectors that might be heating up, and thinking out of the box, right? So DGLY, what happened last time there was riots? DGLY went nuts, insane move, and nobody was even talking about it. It was opened flat on Friday and started to perk up. And so immediately when I saw the news on, the Sunday night articles or Saturday, whatever it was, or no, it was Thursday night. As soon as I saw those, I'm thinking, wow, DGLY could probably be the one. And therefore, I went ahead and started to accumulate dips once I saw it starting to go. But again, how fast can you get to a theme? How fast can you get to what worked in the past and what's likely to work again? So that's really the big thing for trading this current market environment, because everybody's looking to buy something, and if it starts upticking, somebody's going for it. And we've got so many new traders. I'm talking hundreds and thousands, if not millions, in this small. Obviously there's millions of traders all over the world, but I'm just talking about in this small cap sector. There's millions and millions of new traders. If you just look at the Robinhood stats, when I forget which one, maybe Mark or a few other ones, where they've got 10,000 shareholders or accounts that hold it, and then all of a sudden the next day there's 80,000 accounts, things like that. That's a lot of shareholder change, right? Meanwhile, maybe they only got they only own 40 shares or something like that. We don't know. But the point is that they're heavily being watched right now, all small caps, and anything that moves, people are jumping on. So keep that in mind with, to kind of circle back with how I started this, keep that in mind with how you're used to trading and kind of what you need to be aware of today with the type of traders that are coming to the market. Before I forget, Shamandi Beats, great points. Staying familiar with every night's watch list, and kind of staying in tune with where things are trading. was the key takeaway that they took from last week's video, which is super, super important. That's where like half the trades from this week came from. Just staying familiar with certain charts that are setting up. Doesn't mean that they're going to pull back the next day, but just seeing them gets you that much closer to actually being part of that trade. It gets you that much closer to being able to react quickly, right? So anyway, you've got Momo Trader's book this week, and next week will be a t-shirt, and then we'll give away a week or a month of Investors Underground the following week. So reach out to me, please, and we'll get that shipped out as well. And let's get into the couple topics that I wanted to talk about today, and then we'll get into Scan. So Mark, M-A-R-K, was an incredible trade this week. Great opportunity. Literally did the same exact thing as FCEL, which is the stock that I had compared it to about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where it had ran up, pulled back, ran up into earnings again, and then pulled back huge. So we were able to take advantage of both of those run-ups and then the immediate tanks after that. So that's a perfect example of just this current market environment where, literally there's 100 million shares outstanding and there's probably, 50 million different shareholders holding 40 shares. You're not going to ever be able to shake these people from their positions, right? And anytime that even I mentioned it on Twitter, you have like 900 replies of nonsense. But they will learn and they will understand one day. But regardless, they've got a great story, but that's about it, right? The only thing that they have going for them right now is a story. It's a hot theme, hot story. But other than that, their biggest asset right now is selling stock, right? And they've maxed out their authorized, so they're going to need to obviously do a proxy vote and get up to 300 million shares or whatever they wanted to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're public just to sell stock. So it's been a phenomenal trade. Higher the better. And this was a great example of the boxing trade that I've done a blog post on. So if you guys don't know what that is, you can just do what is boxing, Investors Underground. You can see the blog post that I've done on it. But it came in super handy because when everybody was trying to get short, I could just hit the bid. Because SSR was on the 2 or 3 times that you'd probably really want to short it. And because I was boxed, I was able to just sell the long position when I wanted to get out. So not only did that help with the entry, but it also helped me really capitalize on the rebounds, right? Because number one, I could get long when I thought I was going to rebound. And number two, the other part about that was personally, I don't like trading Mark at somewhere like Center Point, because I'm going to end up trading hundreds of thousands, if not millions of shares on it. And that's going to just cost a lot of money, right? So I do it at E-Trade in this situation. Anytime that I'm trading, 50 to 100,000 plus shares at a time, then I don't want to be, paying a per share commission, right? The other 99% of the time, I'm trading at Center Point. There's no better broker. But the times that I'm trading blocks of stock, I'm not going to be paying, crazy money per share. So with that comes the downside of the fact that you can't reserve shares, right? So I can't reserve X amount of stock to short like I can at Center Point when I'm trading E-Trade. However, I can be short, I can box it, and then sell the long when I want to get short. And then that way, when everybody else goes and they try to hit short on their E-Trade and it says, sorry, there's no shares left, they're out of luck, and I'm not. So again, you can check out that blog post. It was a perfect example of being able to react quickly. People trying to get short and they're chasing it down because they can't fill on the bid. Meanwhile, I can just hit the button and I'm out, and I end up short as soon as I want. So that was a great trade. It's been a while since we've had such a big opportunity as Mark, and to work as flawlessly as it did and be able to give those big squeezes back. I mean, I think the fact that there was some other big, gambling type of viewership on that particular name, without naming names. I absolutely love watching the stream of a particular trader, but all these guys that typically do sports betting all were going in for the earnings. So I mean, it was one of those situations like, hey, what could go wrong? Everybody's doing the same thing. So that's why we got such a big pullback. That's why we got such a big opportunity. And then on top of that, yeah, they doubled their share count, and they basically said nothing on the call. Anyway, with that said, I put out a tweet on Friday, just just the amount of responses and the craziness that usually I just don't even respond. I just block, move on, whatever. But because I don't want to say something that I regret. But just the craziness and the amount of responses, the type of responses, and these people that have been trading for 2 weeks and have made a bunch of money because that's the market we're in. It's just at an all-time high. And I think that you need to be aware of that, because if you get used to these trading environments, I always think long term, right? It's working right now. Buy anything. It all works, right? But if you're thinking long term, you need to actually really look at the trades that you're taking. Was that a good trade, or did I just get lucky? Did I get let out of that one? I've talked about this before, being rewarded for reckless trades, right? So, people, especially like the Mark crew is a great example, but people being rewarded for holding this hot theme. Yeah, it was a great long trade. It was a great long trade and a great short trade. Unfortunately, I sold my 50 cents long at like 80 cents and $1.10, but from that point forward, I was looking for the short and traded it the 2 times that I mentioned. But it's rewarding reckless behavior. It's rewarding people holding and buying every single dip. And as you saw on all the names that I warned over the last couple weeks, USAU, GNUS, ABIO, I forget the other one, but basically it was a total scam company. They all pulled back 30 to 60, 70%. So eventually, there was 2 other ones, NNDM and another, but raised, in the pre-market, immediately dropped 50%. That's going to slowly happen over and over and over again. So you have all these new traders, and slowly but surely they're going to go boop, 50% down, boop, 50% down. And it's just going to slowly take out. And also, if you look at the Google Trends, stock trading, compare it to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, everybody was looking at the Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? How do I buy Bitcoin? And then it slowly started to fade off. Well, that's the same trend that's happening on Google with stock trading. So there's going to be millions and millions and millions of traders for quite some time, but eventually, one by one, they're just going to get, blown up because they don't even know what they're doing. They have confidence because buying stuff in the past worked, but that's it. So the point of all this, and what I'm saying as well, is, with that, we've had a lot of people come into IU, or at least the, talk to some of our guys, and just, they want the spoon fed. They want to be told when to buy and sell. They want to be, they want the quick cash. They see P&L from other people, and they're like, how do I get that? I want, I want in. And, that's just, it's just not what we're about. And so I think a lot of that has to do with people marketing the low-hanging fruit, right? For example, like learn how to place your first trade in less than 10 hours, or how to become consistently profitable in 30 days, or how to turn $100 into $1 million, or here's the car I bought with my trading profits, right? That's all the low-hanging fruit. Those are the people that want the quantity of traders in their room, but not the quality, right? So we're focused on the quality. So if any of that is you, then this is not, Investors Underground is not for you. But we want the committed, the real worth ethic type of people, and we want people that want to learn to trade first, not place their trades first, right? A lot of people just fire and then ask questions later. You want to take a step back. You want to actually learn how to do this for the long term. The goal here is longevity, not I made a bunch of money and then I lost it all, right? How many people do you know made a lot of money and lost it all? Go back 10 years. There's so many. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Everybody that's making a lot of money right now is going to lose it all. And so we just want to try to prevent that. So the biggest key is that we want commitment. You see me doing these Sunday scans every week. You see me doing scans every single night. You see me staying current with the workouts. You know, personally, I probably wouldn't if I didn't have accountability from, Zach. But you see me every single day committed. And that is the type of trader. That's why all roads lead back to IU. That's why we have a lot of veteran traders. That's why there's a lot of traders that this is what they do that are in IU. It's not the people that want the Lambos. If that's you, it's not for you. So point is, once again, and then we'll get into scan. I've been doing this 17 years. It's never been this silly. Be cautious, be patient, and, understand that, everybody's killing it right now and everybody's going to lose it. Okay? So be careful. But let's get into scan. The biggest thing, like I talked about, trades come in phases. Understand what kind of phase that we're in, whether that's low floats, whether it is news-driven, whether it's sector-driven, whether it's whatever it may be. Figure out what theme is going and put your focus there. We saw a lot of reversals this week and a lot of great squeezes. Be aware that the squeezes can be thin on the front side, but once they reverse, it's nice and thick and a nice good pullback. So cruises, you saw that. Retail, Macy's is a great example. All those were short squeezes, right? The outperformers are not obviously cruise lines. They're not retail. Everything that's hurting right now is actually did rebound well, but it's still selling off, whereas everything else is hitting all-time highs. So be aware of that. Understand what has relative weakness in this market. Understand what has relative strength. Don't step in front of stuff. Understand front side versus back side. We've done a lot of videos on that. We talk about it every single day in the room. Understand how those key levels can help you. That was ADAP on Friday. We had a full lesson on it. Traders Lounge live as it happened. So main watches. I've only got three main watches. So as you guys know, main watch, continuation type patterns for potential, more upside, failed follow through for potential more downside. But the main watches are the ones that I want to get prepared for right off the open. I'm looking to react. I think that they're going to have the best possible opportunity. All right, let's get into scan for tonight. So the first and foremost, the main trade that I want is DraftKings. And I'm thinking that we could potentially see some type of big move up towards 45, maybe 50. That would be ideal. Ideal world is get going higher. Obviously, I'm not short, so selfishly, I want it to go as high as possible, right? But we'll see, right? I think that there's so many catalysts when the sports teams start to come back. Everybody's going to have that FOMO of not being able to place bets. They're going to go crazy. I think that there's a lot of catalyst in a sense, not necessarily business-wise, but catalyst in a sense that, okay, NBA starts to play, MLB starts to play, okay, this starts to play. These, all these different things start to open, and each time it's going to be able to support the stock a little bit more. I also think that there's almost like a Tesla-esque shareholder base, right? Very loyal. These are sports gamblers that are like I said to start this. I know a lot of sports gambler type people, and they're all long the stock. So I think that people are just gonna sit on this thing, and I think it's gonna go a lot further, and hold up a lot longer than people think. With that said, The parabolic moves are going to be the opportunity. So the days that it's not going up 2, but the days that it squeezes out 4, 5, 6, 7, those are the days that I'm going to be interested in, but not on the front side of the move. Let it blow off. And remember that on the backside, there's a lot more than just that first snap. So we always try to get that top. And, you might be 2, 3, 5, 10 too early. But after the snap, might pull back $1, might pull back 2, and then it's got 8 more, right? So just like VTIQ, you could try to find the top, get bent up, or just wait for that initial crack and have that opportunity for another, 12 downside. Forget the $1 or $2 that you missed at the top. There was still $12, $13 of downside, right? So keep that in mind. Higher the better. And the other thing too is if it slams down quickly and it starts to base, then I'm interested in potentially a long for breakouts. But I will be looking for the short for sure. I just feel more comfortable on that side. But for most people, if you have trouble and you get stubborn on the front side of the moves, don't even bother. ADAP. This one, I would suggest anybody that's in Investors Underground, go back through the Traders Lounge. It wasn't the point wasn't making the call and short here, covered here. Wasn't that at all. The point was understanding how and why and how you could anticipate that this trap was happening at the 1140 levels and how it went under and trapped and squeezed out everybody from the morning, just ran the stops into the high of day, and then obviously unwound. So huge lesson there, and definitely something I told everybody to record the tape while I was talking about it so you can go back and review. That's always a great way to do that. But I don't have a strong bias on this one. We're gonna have to find out on Monday morning. Do we have a weak open and it rallies back? Do we have a gap up and we're back on 12 and it stuffs and fails? I think we're gonna have a $1.50, maybe even $2 per share opportunity. I just don't know which way yet. So I want to wait. I want to see what's shaking in the morning. I think that it's pretty clear 1050s is a key level. You can see right here consolidation at 1050. You can see right here, right in this area, right over here, and then that's where it ended up, right? So let's see how far it comes. I think that if it gaps too far away, it could come back to 1050. If it gaps too low, it could come back up towards 1050. So that's going to be one that we're going to have to discuss on the pre-market broadcast at 8:50 a.m. on Monday. Mark has been just exceptional. I mean, it's been an incredible opportunity the last couple of days. So I'm hoping that we continue to have the same type of action. There was some great opportunity on earnings. So I went into earnings mostly boxed on the so I had small short exposure, but I had locked up all those shares short, like I had noted. So I ended up selling all my long, just as I had tweeted, into the ramp, and I faded that all the way down. Which I mean, like I said, this has been an incredible trade, incredible opportunity, and the fact that it even rebounded back on Friday was even better because it gave yet again another opportunity. So when it crashed after hours, I went ahead and boxed more of what I had for short. So basically now I'm essentially boxed. I have a small short exposure, but my goal is hopefully they have a PR. Hopefully they have something that pushes this thing up to get some more on the short side, and then take off the long, unbox it, let it work. But this is going to take a little while. Longs are still buying dips. They haven't figured it out yet. And, let's see what happens. But I'm sure they'll probably try to support this with a bunch of PRs. And they very well may, hold it for quite some time. FCEL, ended up holding pretty well. But just like I said, check out these 2 daily charts. Those are the ones that's what I had compared it to. So, again, more comments in the room, but higher the better. I am praying that they put out some pump PR. I'm praying that they get this thing gapping on Monday, but we'll see. It's very close to being done. AESE. This one, I got long on dips. And the idea was dips into the close for a potential gapper. Monday, Tuesday, whatever. So I ended up coming. I was away from the desk. I came back and this thing was up $1 higher. So that was a great surprise. I definitely was not expecting it to run $1 after hours. But regardless, I took a little bit off just because it's hard to deny $1. So I took about a third or so off. And I'm going to look to potentially add dips if it continues to hold trend. So hopefully it pulls back 280s, 3s, something like that. But if not, and it's just up and away with GMBL and DraftKings, we'll see what happens. But if this theme, again, understand themes, understand sectors, right? So if this theme, GMBL, AESE, and DKNG, stays strong, then take note of that, because any other names that are potentially in that sector will start to get bids as well. So keep that in mind. With that said, Gamble, GMBL, great trend. I mean, beautiful. This is a pretty big move, and Michelle was all over it. She PM'd it to me like 2-3 days in a row. She's like, I think this one's gonna go. Setting up, check it out, make sure you saw it. Hey, did you see it? And I fumbled it. I traded it once or twice, but for a minimal. So really nice breakout. So ideally pulls back, consolidates for a couple days, and then if DraftKings and the rest stay hot, then maybe we keep on going. But if this were to gap up and go 10, 11, 12, I would probably reactively short that, just for a scalp, not to stay, but great volume, great action. DVAX, huge alert on Friday in the room by our news guy, and great opportunity. And not only on the long side, but flip short, really offered a great opportunity. Nice little ABCD setup. Confirm at VWAP, nice close. So I'd be looking for a ramp up versus maybe the 640, 650 levels, and then fade back. Otherwise, maybe pull back to 580s and then rally back red to green. That would be the two trade plans. MBR was a monster. So the goal was, this was an idea earlier in the month, just not to take off radar. Low floater, squeezing up, just like the CHK idea when it had first reverse splitted, which was right over here. Same thing, right? And that was a huge trade. People kind of make decisions based on volume, based on price, and then they get bent. That's exactly what happened on NBR. So my goal would be higher the better. In a perfect world, 40. Unlikely, but hopefully a 40 pop. Maybe 41, and then fade back down to, who knows, 34, 32, 30. But regardless, nice action pre-market. We had some looking left opportunity. So basically, look left. You can see that there was some issues at 47. It had hit almost 50, about 48 50s or so. So that was the idea of why 50. Obviously, whole and half dollar marks, 40, 45, 50 as well. But looking left, failed. So I went ahead and got short versus, this prior resistance. Scaled into the winner. I had posted the chart. You guys can check that out. But same thing. I'm looking for the same thing. Look at this daily chart. Look at CHK. After the first pullback day, it got bought up, and then it stayed heavy, and went right back down. So keep that in mind. SNOA, higher the better. This was a great one. Great short in the room. I was expecting single digits, 8 to 9 by close, as I tweeted out around, 15, 14, something like that. Covered towards the close. Ideally, we get a ramp up towards about 10. Who knows? But ideally, and even if it gaps down, I'm still interested. A lot of people will ignore this, but there's no reason why, it just can't go right back to where it came from. The only reason, this is again understanding, why was it hot? Because ABIO ran. So nobody wanted to miss the next ABIO. So everybody was long biased. There weren't very many shorts because they just saw ABIO run. So they weren't going to get bent up on this one too. And the last two, Nerve, this was a big fail. And they had an upgrade or price target. I think it was 20 or 24 midday. I ended up doubling. It's huge opportunity. But for me, the opportunity was once it started to exhaust all these early shorts, squeeze them out into the 420s. I saw that nice exhaustion move. I started in, it confirmed. I scaled in hard. My goal was 380s, so I covered some into 380s, 370s, and 360s. Great fails. And again, I also posted that chart as well. So in a perfect world, we get back up over those 420s, maybe 450s, something crazy. And look for that ramp up. Look for it to stuff again. Look for failed follow through. And I'm definitely interested for the backside. PHIO, this was fantastic. A newsletter went long pre-market. That's why I got a little bit extra juice. But this was perfect technical analysis. Like, use your tools. Use what you know. Gap fill right there. Right to the 650 line. You can see that there was issues over here, and issues over here in the past. That was support level, which is likely going to become resistance. So pre-market on the broadcast, on the game plan, I put a small amount on, just like I said, just to kind of be there, just in case it didn't go. But the perfect goal, perfect case scenario is a rip up to 650s and then scale it hard. And was patient throughout the day. Also posted that chart. So that's it. Those are my plans. I have, again, you guys should always go to the description link. Click the link to the full scan. I have some other charts of interest. The reason why I put these on there, I don't have the entire trade plan written out, but I want to stay familiar with these charts that either are working well, like FMCI is an example. FMCI, the only reason I care about it right now is because these SPAC, the Special Purpose Acquisition Corps are working. They're running. SPCE was one, VTIQ was one, DKNG was one. So there's a lot that are actually moving right now. So I just put a couple, but that's an example. eBay I had up there, and not that I want the trade, but the fact that it hasn't pulled back interests me. And when these names get weakness across the sector, I'm going to be interested in this one because it's gone straight up, as well as stuff like PRTS, Big. We had a great trade on Big on Friday because I've been monitoring it. If I hadn't been monitoring it, I would have missed the trade. So there was a great opportunity there. So again, scroll through that, check it out. Leave a comment in the comment section, your biggest takeaway from Scan. I always try to re-hit what you guys ask. I try to, relate to, what's going on, current market conditions. Give a like in the video. And if you hit subscribe on Investors Underground channel, you will get an email and it'll push to your phone every Sunday as soon as we do the scan. So it's just a good way to be aware of that. So check it out and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.